Today on MuscleCar, got rust?
Ooh, that's freaking lovely.
We're gonna show you how to get it out of there. The Tribute Trans Am's dirty secrets are revealed. And move over, the king of the road reigns again.
Hey guys, welcome to the shop. I'm getting ready to pull the front subframe back off our 69 Firebird and get the body sent off to the blaster. Now the Impala was calling Brent's name, so while I keep rolling on the year one Tribute Trans Am, Brent's gonna get the tubs finished up in the back end of Red Sled. Last time we got the Firebird torn apart. We mocked up the LS7 and tranny and made some modifications to the cross member. Now normally you'd mock up the rest of the drivetrain before you pull the subframe off, but our rear end hasn't shown up yet, and I'm getting a little impatient, so we're moving on, and that means the motor and tranny's gotta come out. Since Brent's so absorbed in the Impala, Chris came down from Extreme to help out.
Hey Rick, I heard you don't know how to pull a motor.
Yeah, I need a little help on this thing. I'm a painter, man, I ain't an engine puller. We could put some wheels back on and roll the subframe out with the drivetrain in one piece. But since we're putting a different transmission in, it'll be easier to separate it now.
All right, pull it out a little bit. All right. Got it from here, man?
That's good. Yeah, that's cool.
All
Thanks
right,
for the help.
Cool.
Time to drop the floor pans out. Why are they coming out before it gets blasted? Well, whoever put these replacement pans in covered up the old ones. So by taking these out, we'll be exposing the metal that needs to get blasted. I was hoping they'd unscrew and come right out. Yeah, no such luck. There's a lot of brazing in here, so I'm gonna have to chisel them out. See, now this is exactly what I was talking about. Now that this rust is uncovered, it can get the blasting it deserves. Now that all the hidden rust is out in the open, it's on its way to Strip Masters of Nashville to be blasted. Time to turn our attention back to the Impala. Old Red Sled has come a long way. After tearing it apart, we braced up the frame, mocked up the air ride suspension, had it powder coated, fit the body, put in new floor pans, and got started on the tub. Now that the tubs are in, the bracing behind the back seats can go back in place. Since the tubs added an extra inch on each side, the braces in the corners will have to be replaced, so Brent's gonna make some new ones. Now we could use our shrinker stretcher to make this piece, but you don't need a shop full of tools to do this. Some relief cuts and careful bending will also work. Now one last detail before the seat pans go in. They need an edge to attach to. No problem. A couple simple pieces welded in place and the pans can go in.
Cool, Brent. Looks like you're almost ready for the pans, huh? Not quite. We're gonna have to chop them up a bit.
A little bit.
Where we added that inch,
Uh-huh.
we're gonna have to take it out this right here.
Ah, gotcha. Much cutting to be done.
Yes.
Cool. We will hack it. If we want these to fit right, I need to keep this molded edge, so I'm trimming it off, removing the part we don't need, then Brent's reattaching it in its new position. Now once all the mounting holes are drilled and it's punched out for spot welds, it's ready to become a permanent part of Red Sled.
Hey man, how's it going? Yeah, it's looking pretty good.
Ooh, wish this side was looking that good. I still got some trimming up here, still gotta fit that. Still got a little bit of work to do.
All right, see you in a bit.
See ya. All right, now part of the problem with this panel is that we got too much material over here and it's not letting this thing drop in, which is leaving a gap over here on this edge. So the first thing I gotta do is come through and get that out of my way. One more test fit. Aha, way more better. Looks good, so I can prep it and drop it in.
Alright, this has got to come up, so I'm going to get a jack and hold it.
Now sometimes the best tips are low tech. And here's some garage engineering at its finest. Hey, you guys know what I mean. You use what you got. I finally got our rear seat pan here trimmed out and fitting pretty good so I can get it welded in. After that, we can put in our tunnel that we designed to clear our frame bracing. Then we can move on to patching in our quarters.
After the break, Rick and Brent wage a battle against Red Sled's rust.
Brent's got that rear seat tunnel welded in place and looking great. As long as he's on a roll with the sheet metal, he's going to keep going on these quarter panels. Meanwhile, there's a lot of other panels that need my attention, so I'm going to get started on the fenders. This one has rust exactly where you'd expect it. Down in the lower corner behind the wheel well, so that's the only area that I'll need to cut out. Now if you notice here, when I sliced my fender, it knocked our bottom line here out of alignment. That's because it's sitting on a rack. To correct that, I'm going to use a piece of copper wire and actually pull the bottom of this fender in and bring that back into alignment. Once you start cutting on these panels, you're probably going to uncover more problems. Hey, but that's what rust repair is all about.
Ooh, that's freaking lovely.
Yeah, but Brent's got his own rust issues to deal with on the quarter panel. After marking the area that needs to be patched, he takes a cutoff wheel to it.
Look, here's part of the window. It's like going to the beach inside this car.
Whenever you can see rust on the outside, there's always going to be much more behind it. If you want a good solid patch, you gotta replace the inner pieces as well. Brent's cutting a larger piece than he's actually going to need from the patch panel. That way it'll be easier to handle. The front of the wheel wells are being re-radiused to make room for those fat A22s, so a little modification is going to be in order. With that done, you can cut the patch down to size and weld it in.
Is it freaking awesome or what? Watch how this thing will slide right up in there like so. He's ready to start doing some welding, son. Word. Glorious.
Now sometimes when the clecos don't pull it in tight enough, you can attach a stud to pull the sheet metal out to where you need it. Now this marks a milestone in the progression of Red Sled, the first glob of plastic filler. Now all the work that Brent's doing over there is going to require the same thing, and believe me, there's a lot more metal work that still needs to be done. And that means that this is just the beginning of a long, muddy journey. The first application of filler is the most important. Think of it as a foundation. If it's not right, nothing you put on top of it will be right either. A DA sander can be your best friend or your worst enemy, depending on your skill. If you're a rookie, a block and guide coat's a better bet. Now here's one of those things that's so obvious that a lot of guys don't really think about it. When you're mixing your Bondo, be sure you spread it out and work all those air bubbles out of there, otherwise they'll come back and bite you in the butt. If you've worked your sheet metal correctly, it shouldn't take more than a couple coats. Now once I knock it down with a DA, I'll smooth it out with a coat of finishing putty and a block. We got one panel down and plenty more to go. Now, no one ever said that this was a fast or an easy process, but we want Red Sled to look perfect, and there is no shortcut to perfection. But all this hard work is going to pay off the day she comes rolling out of that booth looking straighter than the day she was built. Now stick around, because we're going to check out and see what's left of our Firebird when it gets back from the blaster.
Coming up on Flashback, a Shelby Cobra that ruled the roads in '68. Today's Flashback, a 1968 Shelby Cobra KR.
Roll out the red carpet, MuscleCar fans. Today, the king is coming to town. No, I'm not talking about Elvis. I am talking about the king of the road. In 1968, the infamous Shelby Cobra KR was made in limited numbers. Now, only about 1,200 KRs were made for production, and less than 1,000 were fastbacks like this one owned by Mike Akers. The styling of the '68 KR had stayed pretty true to the design from earlier years, and the fiberglass nose was reshaped in '68 for a more aggressive look. Shelby was anything but modest about plastering his name all over his masterpiece. But the good looks aren't what got this car titled King of the Road. The 428 Cobra Jet that pushes this snake down the road might have something to do with it. Now officially, Shelby claimed the King only had 335 horses kicking around in those massive 8 cylinders. But guys in the know, and anyone else who's ever pushed the loud pedal in one of these things, well, they know that 335 is nothing but a low-ball number just to keep insurance affordable. A pair of power front disc brakes and oversized drums in the back, along with 16:1 power steering ratio, keep the cavalry all under control. The C6 transmission, reinforced shock towers, and staggered rear shocks may have helped with the name as well. Now, rumor has it that the name King of the Road was swiped from GM. You Chevy guys, you can talk all you want. Stolen name or not, this car's got a set. At 15-inch wheels that keep the king reigning over his domain. If you had one of these parked in your garage in '68, well, you also had about $4,500 missing out of your bank account. Worth every penny, these cars were packed full of options. Sequential blinkers out back were touched off with chrome trim and bumpers, and the dual exhaust, well, it let everyone know the arrival of this nobility. Up front, a classic Shelby front end with 4 big lamps and a massive scoop to keep the big block Cobra Jet cool. The hood rams air down the throat of a hungry 735 CFM Holly, and the stripes, hey, they just look cool. Now, these cars were meant to race, and inside, well, safety was a key component. Inertia reel shoulder harness and seat belts hold the driver and passenger securely in place, while the roll bar, well, it runs overhead, you know, just in case. The style wasn't too far behind safety. The deluxe all-vinyl interior, complete with bucket seats, was set off with a walnut-grained instrument panel and door panels. A full set of gauges, including an 8,000 rev tach and a speedo capable of reading 140 miles an hour, are a constant temptation for a heavy right foot. Okay, now whether Shelby swiped the name King of the Road from GM or not, well, this Cobra rightfully earns the title. Big Ford power coupled with Shelby racing style and engineering commands respect from any would-be challenger. Stick around because we got more MuscleCar after the break. Hey, welcome back. I've been doing the bodywork on these panels and I got the fenders and the doors done. Next up is this hood here, and I got a little tip for you. Since we sandblasted it, they took all the seam sealer out of the back. And that means that there's no support for the face of this thing. To solve that problem, we need to replace the seam sealer on the back before we can attack the bodywork on the front. Now this is seam sealer, but I've even used windshield urethane. The tape's here to give it a clean edge. I'm not sealing this completely because moisture could get trapped inside and cause rust, so I'm leaving some gaps to allow water to escape. Meanwhile, Brent's making progress on the quarter panel, cutting out the old and patching in the new. Full quarters just aren't available for 61 Impalas, but patch panels are. Year One set us up with the front pieces and Sherman Associates with these rear panels. But the rust we're dealing with extended further into the wheel wells than the patch panels were designed for, so Brent's adding a strip to fill it in. Well, we got our bird back from the blaster, and Strip Masters did a fantastic job of cleaning this thing up. Unfortunately, they've uncovered a whole lot of problems with this body, so at this point we need to back up a little bit, do an inspection, and try to come up with a game plan. So what do we got going here, man?
It's like a whole lot of rust to me.
I'd say you're right. A lot of stuff they don't even make. I don't think they make door jambs for these, do they?
Yeah, that B-pillar I think is...
Oh, dude, it looks like someone shot it.
That tail panel is not gonna be a fixable.
Dude, that's a mess right there. It looks like someone wadded it up, stuck it on a rock, and beat it back out with a stick. You know, dude, I'm amazed at how good this thing looked with paint on it. And how bad it looks without it.
This B-pillar's gone too.
We need another one of those B-pillars if they don't make.
Yeah.
The bracing on the inside is even rusted out. Oh, that's nice too. You can see daylight through the firewall.
Top of this dash is gone.
Man, I never thought I'd say it. The Impala looks cherry compared to this thing. We're gonna have to fall back and regroup and figure out what the heck we're gonna do with this. This is a mess, man.
I would agree.
After closer inspection, it's pretty obvious that for most guys, this car is just too far gone. Now, we could save it, but the man hours that would be involved in doing that would mean that we'd have to push all of our other cool projects off the table for the rest of the season. Now, for the guys at Year One, this car has some sentimental value, and because of that, they really want to have some involvement in the build. So they're going to take it off our hands and give us a little jump start on the sheet metal work, and that means that we get to move on to our next project. But for now, we're out of here.